In just a few hours, the jury in the federal trial against Kosta Diamantis will continue to try to reach a verdict. Today is the first full day of deliberations after closing arguments yesterday.
Prosecutors say he was a corrupt public official. However, his attorney told jurors they need to follow the law, even if they don't like him. Your reporter Taylor Knight is live in studio with what we can expect in court today. Good morning.
Good morning. We are getting closer to a verdict here. Diamantis was in charge of school construction projects from 2015 to 2021 and now faces decades of prison time if found guilty on more than 20 counts of bribery and extortion. Prosecutors started their closing arguments first yesterday, showing jurors how contractors paid Diamantis and said when they didn't pay him, Diamantis threatened them. Diamantis' attorney says the government failed to prove its case. Jurors have heard lots of testimony and seen lots of documents in the last 2.5 weeks of this trial, and now they will deliberate and decide what and who to believe. Your chief political reporter, Susan Raff, will be in the courtroom when a verdict comes down. We will have the latest on air and online at WFSB.com. Your reporter live in studio, Taylor Knight, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Okay.